Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, the direct purchase and pricing question email line for watches you see here on Watchbox Reviews. That is tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And today, we're discussing the new hotness, or at least the latest hotness in the world of GMTs. Launched at Basel 2019, this is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual GMT Master II 126710 BLNR, the black and blue, albeit with a new 3-day movement and, of course, Jubilee bracelet, 40 millimeters in stainless steel. It's the Rolex 904L steel that Rolex boasts is so anti-corrosive, you don't even have to rinse it after you take it out of seawater. That's impressive and also unusual. Now, you'll note that the watch is surprisingly slender for a dual-time automatic that's 100 meters water resistant. The watch measuring only 12 millimeters thick and from lug to lug a reasonable 48 millimeters. If you include the end links of the bracelet, it's still fairly reasonable. Less so than on the Oyster bracelet. We've got 49.4 millimeters across the wrist. The Oyster bracelet was 51, so advantage GMT Jubilee. Now the timepiece on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I should mention it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. It is easy to wear and I would say comfortable and maybe even a bit more dress-oriented than the previous Oyster. The 5-link Jubilee does have many small links, so it vents the wrist better than the Oyster, and it also feels a little bit more supple. I'm not saying one is more comfortable, but on a hot day, with all solid links, you might want to favor the Jubilee, even as it wears better in formal attire. A thin watch, it easily slides underneath cuffs, and you can see on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, no problems side to side across the wrist. Taking a look at that Jubilee, I mentioned that it's all solid link. Indeed it is. The end link is solid. You can see the center links are solid. I can't look through them anymore. We have a combination of staggered link alignment and a combination of staggered link size with polished centers, polished outer faces, and satin shoulders. The clasp is as sporty as the Oyster ever was, with a double locking system. You can see the beak and the hook internally. That latches once, this latches twice. There's a little kerf inside the clasp to dig your nail in to open the clamshell, and then internally you can see there's still an easy link system, same as on the Oyster. 5 millimeters of tool-free adjustment, and then you'll note that there are 3 anchoring positions, divots inside the clasp with little tracks leading in so you can re-anchor the bracelet with your strap tool and make some fine adjustments that don't involve easy link or displacement of removable links. Okay, the case. This is the super case. It's been with us since the GMT of 2005, which is to say it is sheer of side, it is squared off of lug. We have satin finished tops and polished flanks, and the polish on the flank really is quite handsome. I've always been impressed by the reflective mirrored quality of Rolex case flanks. I would love to see how it's done someday because the effect is as handsome as the much ballyhooed Grand Seiko Zaratsu polish. Rolex qualitatively equal. I would love to see how it's done. Now the GMT bezel turns in both directions, it always has. If you set the blue lacquered GMT hand, which moves once around the dial for every day, if you set that to Greenwich Mean Time, you will be able to use the GMT bezel to offset as per the GMT offset of your port or airport of destination. You will be able to find 3 time zones on this watch simultaneously. The actual bezel itself is steel, but the insert is ceramic and highly scratch resistant. The numerals as well as the indices, those are actually platinum deposits in little wells inside the ceramic, and then the dial has white gold hands and a black lacquered base. You can see this is one of the latest generation of Rolex watches because it features the post-2018 edition of the little Rolex crown between Swiss and made at 6 o'clock. Now Rolex was smart enough not to mess with success, so aesthetically very little has changed on this dial. The extent of it is pretty much that Rolex crown. Of course, you can set the local 12-hour hand independently from everything else. The watch keeps ticking. Note I can drive the date forward or backwards as I cross the international date line, or I can pull the crown out, hacking seconds, stop seconds, move everything in sync. You can see how the small Mercedes hand at 12 hours moves at twice the rate of the 24-hour hand. So 2 independent time zones no matter what. 100 meters water resistant, screw down crown, and you'll note it's a trip lock. This generally featured on the 300 meter and up watches. Inside the case, the new 70-hour power reserve caliber 3285, still 31 joules automatic winding. It now has a bearing for the rotor rather than a jeweled staff, so it's more shock resistant than before. The old movement was 48 hours, this is 70 hours. A new escapement architecture called Chronometer, which is created using Liga process, is essentially Rolex's answer to Omega's coaxial. There's also a bigger mainspring inside a thinned out mainspring barrel, and the watch featuring the dual time, the stop seconds, a full balance bridge, and a free sprung index. The latter 2 features giving the watch exceptional shock resistance. Adjusted in 6 positions, it earns a COSC Chronometer certification, and then Rolex takes the certified movement, cases it up, and tests it in 6 positions to -2 plus 2 seconds a day or better. That is the basis for the superlative chronometer standard. Remember, COSC is -4 plus 6 per 24 hours. There is a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring, and that is largely what helps the watch earn such excellent performance in 6 positions. It is a niobium zirconium alloy that is blue oxidized. That hairspring is highly anti-magnetic. That is Rolex Cerachrom blue, which makes this a water-resistant, shock-resistant, and anti-magnetic watch. Beaten away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, it remains the standard in dual-time watches and a wonderful all-arounder. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details concerning this Rolex GMT Master II. Rolex GMT Master II with Rolex's proprietary Chromolite Blue Lume by night, 24-hour hand and seconds loomed.